sir.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Martin. I'd like to convene as a Walworth County Planning and Zoning Board. Is there any old business? New business? We got a motion on the floor. I need a second. Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. I'd like to convene as Walworth County Board of Zoning Adjustment. Is there any old business? New business? Hearing none, I take a motion. Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second. Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. I'd like to convene as a Board of County Commissioners. I need a motion to add New Everett Resort to the agenda. Liquor license.
Alcoholic beverages.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
No second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
We got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Public forum. Nobody signed up, so we'll move on to 14. Linda Beeman, you can, discussion regarding commissioner assistant.
First of all, I'd like to thank the chairman for allowing me to address the board today. I had requested to be put on the agenda today to discuss the commissioner's assistant, because it was, as I assumed it was going to be addressed today, because at the last meeting, the chairman said that he would bring it back up at the next meeting and go from there. So being it's not on the agenda, is it no longer up for consideration, or?
No, we just didn't get stuff together. I didn't, I know Kevin mustn't have, so it didn't fit us for this week. That's all.
Okay. So I'll wait until another meeting to discuss it then.
Alrighty.
And then, the agenda is always posted on Monday. Is there a possibility that it can be posted on Friday?
It's not done on Fridays.
So more stuff comes in Monday between 8 and 9? I just was gonna ask that, just to give the public more time to be able to come if they wanted to come to the meeting. I guess a couple other things I wanted to bring up, but they're not on what I had put down for the agenda, so I guess I'll have to save that for next time for public forum. The only other thing I would like to bring up today is codified law. It says draft minutes of the public meeting to be available. It's codified law 1-27-1.17. Says the unapproved draft minutes of any public meeting held pursuant to 1-25-1 that are required to be kept by law shall be available for inspection by any person within 10 business days after the meeting. However, this section does not apply if an audio or video recording of the meeting is available to the public on the governing body's website within 5 business days after the meeting. A violation of this section is a Class 2 misdemeanor. However, this provision of this section does not apply to draft minutes of contested case proceedings held in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 1-26. So I guess I'm just informing the board that you are in violation of this codified law to see if it can be corrected. there are no draft minutes that have been up on the official website. And the last video is not up on the official website.
The last video is up.
It's not on the official website.
The link to the video is.
And how do you find that?
I can show you.
Okay, but it's not on the official website, and this isn't the only meeting that that's happened at, so. Is there a reason we don't have draft minutes? Mr. Chairman,
Well,
is there a reason
let's
we don't?
move on because this, you don't, that isn't even on the agenda anyhow with you.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
all right, thank you.
You didn't put them down.
Okay, thank you.
Number 15, need a motion to approve county commission minutes of June 4th, 2019. You all had a chance to go over them?
So moved.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Right.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion passed. 16, you all had a chance to go over the claims. Need a motion to approve if you have.
I had a problem with, one for Clark Engineering. There's two bills here from Clark. One is for the Sitka Road precast, the culvert out there for $140. And one is for 2018 flood repair construction staking administration. My suggestion is to hold off on paying this until they get out there and actually get Sitka Road fixed. It hasn't been touched and they've been notified. So my suggestion is don't pay this one.
Both of them.
It's all in one order.
Yeah.
The total is $396.83.
Anything else? Now I'd take a motion.
I'll make a motion to pay all of them except for this one. For Clark.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Nay.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I guess I'll introduce myself just in case somebody doesn't know who I am. My name is Renee Tussle and I'm the finance officer at the hospital. And I come here today to have you guys review and you can, there's an extra one for you as well. To review the community health funding and ambulance funding that the county has been in contract with the hospital and the state with. The first one is the community health contract, and I didn't leave myself a presentation, so I guess I could. And I did bring extra copies in there back there if you guys want to take some when you leave, that's fine, or you can grab them now as well. So just about the community health, first of all, this is a three-way contract with the hospital, the county, and the state, so it's funded three ways. And the ranges of services that this contract covers is women, infants, and children, which stands for WIC, maternal health services, family planning, immunizations, car seats, pack and plays, school nurse services, and those are provided in Old Bridge and in Selby, foot care, and then the hospital does also put on health fairs. The community health nurse is the one who comes and does those health screenings. So then a little bit about all of those services is presented in the next few pages. WIC, there's 201 current clients on WIC. The economic impact of that is about $117,000 worth of vouchers spent in our communities. And this is a number provided by the state, so it's dated. It says that it's a 2017 number. They provide healthy foods, education to pregnant women, and then also babies. they'll do an assessment of a baby after they're born as well. And then income qualifications, you do have to apply for WIC. You don't just, you have to be under poverty levels or within some income standards to qualify for WIC. Maternal health child, this is what covers the immunizations. 510 doses were given in fiscal year 2018, and this is all ages. So this is this covers the infant immunization. This doesn't cover any of the flu vaccinations that community health goes into the schools and provides. We go into Mobridge, Selby, Harriet, McLaughlin, and I believe Timberlake as well. So, car seats, if the moms come into the hospital and they don't have a car seat to take home, we will provide that. Postpartum visits, the nurse will go out and see the mom if they're wanting. Pack and plays if the moms don't have cribs. And then as the babies get older, Reach Out and Read is a program that we provide, oral hygiene, and then ages and stages. School nursing services, again, this is where we go into the Mobridge and the Selby school districts, and we provide dental hygiene, puberty education, vision, hearing screenings, scoliosis, lice, health assessments, and then the influenza vaccinations. The community health has always funded for the nurse to go in to provide the actual shot. The immunizations used to be free from the state, and the hospital has covered that without any extra funding. Other services, family planning, we go into the senior centers and do blood pressure checks, foot care in Mobridge and Selby, and then again the health fairs that I already talked about. So that covers the community health. Without you guys' support, we couldn't provide these services. The hospital is definitely not making money on community health. We have one full-time RN, we have a secretary to manage the program, and then some ancillary staff, nurses, aides that go in and help with foot care and those types of things. So it's not just 2 people, it's probably 3 full-time FTEs. So without the state and county contracts, it just wouldn't be happening, you know. So with that, I do have a copy of, this is the 2020 fiscal year contract. You signed the 2019 contract last year at this time. Last year's contract was $37,050, which was already approved. This new contract is proposing a 1.8% increase, so it moved from $37,050 to $37,742. I will give Becky a copy of that, and again, you don't need to do anything with it today. It's for your consideration for next fiscal year.
Are we supposed to each take a copy of this?
No, there's 3 copies, one for the county, one for this hospital, and one for the state. They all have to be sent back to the state, and then the state will send Becky a copy and the hospital a copy. So, any questions on the community health?
Does the hospital pay those nurses when we have our pod plan, or pod activity to go to?
Yep, they're definitely on the hospital time clock when that happens. Usually it's grant funded through the state as well, just depending upon if the hospital has applied for grant funding for the pods, but yes, those are hospital employed nurses.
I just wanted to point out, I don't know about the other departments, but at least from the state's attorney's perspective, we've had a problem with the hospital cooperating with at least the state's attorney's office. So I wanted to address that, and it was just recently. So think about that when you're making your decision, but as far as I'm concerned, we don't have good cooperation with the hospital to claim. So
Can I ask in regards to what? So
Um,
that I know.
Off the record, I already called, and basically what happened was I wanted an immediate response, so I didn't have to send the police. I got the runaround, I got 3 calls, I had to call 3 times, because every time I called, they put me through to the number that no one answered. And so then finally I got a hold of someone in a department, I don't know who it is, but I tried to have a good relationship with the hospital, but when we have issues like that, we would like to get cooperation, and that did not happen, and that was just last week. And so I tried to do things without trying to make a scene, because you don't want to have the police out at the hospital, but when I get the runaround from, and not cooperation from the hospital and the clinic, that's why I'm saying there's a problem. And that's what I left the message with whomever I spoke with last time. I said the relationship between my office and your office is gone, because we had a pretty good relationship, because we've had other situations where employees have been arrested and made comments about how they would be treating police when they come in, and that was rectified properly. That was about 2 years ago. But in this particular situation, we like to get stuff dealt with, because basically it was with a harassment of another employee that works for the state of South Dakota. And I wanted to get immediate cooperation, because I don't tolerate employees that work for me with the state or whomever being bothered by employees of the hospital/clinic or other agencies. And I felt like I was just blown off. So that's kind of why I'm extremely upset. And I told the individuals last week, I said I was irate, and I was probably irate with the lady that called, because I had to call 3 times and got put to 2 numbers where no one answered. And then the 3rd time, I finally got put to someone, I can't remember her name, but it's like, when we have these type of issues, there's not really, they need to be dealt with quickly, especially when it's someone who works for me in an additional situation that may be harassed by someone who works at the hospital. My plan is to nip that in the bud immediately, because I take that very seriously, and that's one of my pet peeves, is when an employee who works for me, maybe not directly, but may be bothered by someone else. I want that dealt with yesterday, and that did not happen. And so that's what I wanted to point out.
I can address that, just, I don't know the situation at all. I would advise that you visit with our hospital administrator upon minute 1.
I tried to do that,
That
never got
happened?
hold of him. I got a hold of a female, and then he supposedly tried to call me back on Friday, but I already told him, I'm like, look, our relationship is broken. And I will probably call him today, because I was a little still upset the next day, and I didn't need to.
Right.
But that's why I told him, I said, look, I'm gonna tell everybody, that's what our relationship is for, because I want to have a good relationship, but it's a 2-way street.
Again, the only thing I can tell you to do is get a hold of John. He is very open, he gives out his cell phone.
Well, that didn't happen on Thursday.
Completely unrelated to this contract.
Well, no,
However,
we're funding the hospital here. This money goes to the hospital, it's like, look, you need to cooperate with us
Well,
in order for us to give you money.
You're funding community health, which are the people of Walworth County that come to the community health office to get services.
But who does it go through?
The state and the hospital.
Correct.
Okay, well,
If I had his card, I would give you his, I can give you his direct phone number so you can get directly into his office. Because the hospital, from the hospital standpoint, if there's issues with law enforcement, your office, we want to work with you to protect.
I just wanted to point out though that, look,
Absolutely.
it didn't happen, so I told them when I spoke last time that I was going to point that out, because it's got to be a 2-way street. Nothing gives you personal.
No, I understand, point taken. Any
anything
other,
else for me?
We got
the other half of my discussion was the ambulance service. The county has also funded the ambulance through the hospital. And again, this is not a three-way contract. This is just the county and the hospital. There is, I believe, that's with those contracts. There was an agreement, last year it was $15,500. This year we just asked for a $250 increase to that. So going down through this next presentation, we do provide advanced life support and basic life support services. Runs by county, Walworth County is 83% of our runs. Last year, in total, that was 916 ALS, BLS runs. 5 years ago, we had a volunteer staff, just like Selby, Acasta, Ryan has. Today, we have a fully staffed service with 9 full-time paramedics, PRN paramedics, and those are people that they'll pick up shifts to help us cover full-time status. We have one registered nurse that goes on runs, 4 EMTs, which are advanced EMTs, 5 basic EMTs, and then 2 evac drivers that are all full-time on the clock, 24/7. So with that staff, we cross-train them, so they'll work in the emergency room as well, because the hospital emergency room is very busy. If EMS is called while they're in the ER, their priority is EMS, so they'll leave if called. Also, that staff provides training throughout the region. They have full EMT classes. We just finished one, I believe. CPR classes, lifeguards, daycares, healthcare workers, businesses if they call and want CPR provided to their business, we provide that as well. We do fire standby, city police, county sheriff standby if we need to. We'll go to the rodeos and we sit at the football games. Again, it is a 24/7 service. We do ALS Intercept, available to Harriet, Selby, Timberlake, McLaughlin, McIntosh. They are part of that pod training as well, the disaster planning. Any questions on that? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee.
Appreciate it.
You guys have a good day. And again, there's presentations back there. Anybody?
Thank you.
Oh, Becky, I'll leave you this too. That's the state envelope.
Bill number 18, consider motion to approve alcoholic beverage renewal application for Bid City Marina. I'll need a motion for that.
I so move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
A second. Any more discussion on that?
Is that beer and wine only, or?
These ones are, yeah, malt beverage and wine.
Anything else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The motion passed. Okay, and I need one for
Mudline Adventures. It's Mudline Adventures doing business as New Efforts Resort.
need a motion for that.
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion?
That's full liquor.
No, that's also malt beverage and wine. Their liquor license comes in January. They're separate.
Anything else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Nyla's not here, but you guys have her monthly report.
I take a motion for Nyla's report.
I so move.
I got a motion on the floor, I need a second. You got a second? Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Number 20, discussion regarding request for Mowbridge positive cleanup project.
My only question is, what are they actually asking for other than just a reduction in tipping fees?
That's it.
What are our normal tipping fees right now?
MSW is 37 a ton and rubble is $20 a ton.
So if all they're asking for is yard cleanup, that would pretty much just be level, right?
For the most part, that's more than likely what we would put it as.
What's the commission feel?
How many times would they have one of roll off dumpsters out of somebody's yard? I would think,
Can't be much.
I wouldn't think it would be
Depends
something
on
over
how
here
much gas.
that would.
No, but I guarantee you, as soon as you put one out, everybody, every 5 blocks is gonna be putting it in there.
It will be full.
What do they use? Do you have any idea what they usually haul one of them weight-wise and one of them roll off?
It varies.
I mean,
Depends on what's, they don't like a lot of concrete or anything like that in them because that's, hard on the boxes and everything else, but, if you get a building project where you got concrete and stuff, you're definitely gonna have way more weight per yardage dumpster.
But according to them, they're talking maybe like one a month. It's to help clean up the city. It's people that couldn't get it done during cleanup week, don't have a vehicle, according to Al when I spoke with him.
I'm sure if you put one out there, everybody around is gonna use it. It's not just gonna be that one yard that's gonna use it.
Well, he said they're gonna put it right in that person's yard, and give them so much time to fill it.
I would be surprised.
we're only gonna do it once then, right? Not every month.
No, he said approximately once a month. Maybe you guys wanna have him come to the next meeting?
I would think so, we only do the cleanup for so long, why would we do that? I mean, if we did that, then we better just well put one in Lowry, and Java, Selby, and Casca too. And if you put it in one town, why wouldn't you put it in all the towns? And I guess I think it's defeating the purpose of cleanup week. I think he should just come to the meeting and explain what he really wants.
I think we need a lot more information myself.
I think we should have him come to the next meeting.
I will let him know.
Alrighty. Move on to 21, Josh.
Good morning.
Morning. It is.
It's easier that way.
So this per cost meal, does that include all the employee meals that are in there too?
No.
So we're just giving free meals to the employees?
Dave, but even one for, since before I've been here, I can include that in there if you want.
Can we have everybody from the courthouse go over there and eat too then?
You guys gotta tell me if you don't want it to happen anymore.
It's not specific to the jail staff, but like if my office goes over and eats, we pay a fee. So, and courthouse employees would have to do the same.
Why don't the jailers do that?
They just never have. I can charge them if you want me to, but we never have. They haven't in the past. It's something I never changed, I guess. But we can, if you so choose.
There's always such a fight going on between this one's getting this one's not getting this. If we're gonna be fair about it.
The only problem you're gonna run into with that is I don't think they're allowed to leave while they're on duty. So if you're not going to allow them to eat, or they can pay for their meal there, you're gonna have to allow for them to go take a lunch break. That would be the only thing, or charge them for the food.
Either the highway department when they're out on the blades and stuff.
Well, it's a little different when you're talking about, you guys are always on reduction of liability. You don't want to let hospital staff leave, or jail staff leave if you're concerned about reduction of liability.
I don't care one way or the other. There's always a big fight of this department gets this department gets that. Now we're giving free meals away over there, so. And then people wonder why there's an argument going on.
I guess, Justin, it's just a suggestion, why not put it on there, and then we'll move on from there. So you can just show what's happening there, this way it's just a guessing game.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. moving on. Next item, I emailed a report out, and like I said, those are just some numbers that I put together. The first page is maintenance and repairs over at the jail. Told you I'd get you some numbers, Kevin. That's what I come up with so far as maintenance. I put the three main things that would need to get fixed over there. Did you guys get the second email from me? I put out a second email because
The
it's not-
updated one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, that's what I want, because it came down a little bit because the price on the windows came down. So, about $10,000. So, that's what I came up with on repairs so far. On things that I would like to see. And it's, Scott has not, he's still working on his side with his stuff. I talked to him the other day, we're just waiting. So, I didn't want to wait until the next meeting. I had it, so I sent it out to you guys, for you guys to take a look at as far as maintenance. Your second page is, possible revenue. And like I said, that's all possibilities if all those things were to come to light. Okay? We are we're talking with the feds right now, U.S. Marshals, through email. So there is the process has started as to reestablishing a new per day rate for U.S. Marshals. Had to do it all online. Justin is now communicating with the individual quite a bit actually, this week, last week. So the process has started. Gave us a couple pointers on stuff I didn't even know about. So, still working on those negotiations for a different per day rate for U.S. Marshals. Just an update on that.
What 6 counties do you think you have that would pay the 50,000?
The 6 that I originally went to, that's not set in stone yet. I want to reaffirm that, but
Do you
I want
have
to,
any agreements signed with them?
no,
Possible agreements signed with them?
no. Not at this point, just their per day rate is what there's no other fee. Some may not even use that. Corson County would because, but for the security to have the bed space available and
Hey,
Corson County would have to pay an addition. They've been as high as close to $80,000, so 70-something thousand, just under 80. So,
their thoughts in our meeting was they want to see a plan put in place first before they commit to something on paper.
We
So
might
that's-
need a plan, we might need to see an agreement before we put a plan together.
We're gonna have to get together with everybody.
well, and that agreement's gonna have to be part of that plan. Otherwise, your plan's gonna fall.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, but like I said, these are just proposed numbers, so you guys can see what we can possibly work with. Did you guys understand my math and stuff in there where okay. I had someone ask me and I explained it and they got it after that. So, as long as everybody understood my math.
I just have a hard time putting $55,000 into that building right now, and we don't know what we're gonna do with that building.
I agree with you, Kevin, I do, but what do we do in the meantime? I gotta fix that roof at some point. I mean, we gotta do certain
Let's
things.
make a decision July 2nd, and then we...
Yeah, I'm not asking for a decision today. This is just numbers that I wanted to get in front of you. You asked for a plan, this is part of that plan. I'm waiting for Scott's other half, obviously. So, like I said, I got it to you as soon as I got my numbers, and I was waiting on my windows. That's why I couldn't get it to you. So, I got it to you sooner than needed, I guess. But,
Have you checked with, have you talked to these other 6 counties as far as
you know, instead of just the 50,000, you know, for the annual maintenance and upkeep or operations of the facility? Have you talked to them about putting money up front for like bricks and mortar if we were to do a different structure?
That would have to be put into that plan. That is not worked in here, no.
And that was talk that came up too, but like I said, they wanna kind of know what's going on.
I
Same
mean,
as you
I
guys.
feel a whole lot more comfortable doing any of this stuff if these other counties would commit to putting something into a building. You know, we're sitting here trying to put a Band-Aid on a building that's got huge problems with it. If we're gonna do this, let's do it right, put up a new building that we can house our own inmates in, and if these other counties wanna go and get involved in this, put some money up front. And then give us this guarantee that they're gonna pay this $50,000 a year to do this, to where our operation costs get down to where it's more reasonable. If we can put up a new building and operate this thing with 10 employees instead of 15 employees, like the original idea was, with having that whole ability to see everybody in one room and have more control, less operation costs, that makes way more sense to me to look at that option.
And you're right, there's truth to that. I mean, it depends on how the building is constructed, you know, as far as line of sight and that inmate supervision.
I mean, one of the biggest problems we've got right now, and we've been told from day one, is the liability of this building. Why are we trying to put stuff into this building if the liability is still there? Why not take and look at this as an option or an opportunity to put up a different facility if these other counties will commit to it, and look at that as a possibility?
And like I said, that's just a number I put out there. You could change it to a 5. This is just a 7-year plan. With the 6 counties, possibly, it's just a number of 50,000 per county, and anything over would be the $95 a day, where we're currently at. So you're talking 50,000 times the 300,000 times the 7 years. You're $2.1 million in 7 years just from that. And then the breakdown of the 365, got the $65 rate, which is where the U.S. Marshals are right now, and then also at a $95 rate. I did it at 2 different rates to see it, but it's about $1 million difference. $1.9 to $2.9. So, in essence, 7 years, a 7-year period, depending on what rate, along with that 2.1, you're looking at a little over $4 million or $5 million, depending on what. So, I mean, however you guys want to look at it, I mean, if you want to set off operating costs, we're never going to do that if we, I mean, it's going to be 100% paid for by the county if we don't have any revenue coming in, and not, we're talking about operations and whatnot, so I mean, I want to bring that down also. So there's got to be the support there. So whatever we come up with, we have to incorporate that whole thing into a plan, along with the contract. Would you agree, Jamie? So these are just, there's no contracting with this. I mean, these are just numbers that I put together on different factors if we asked for certain things. So, and the reason for the 65-day and the 2 rates, because that's where we're trying to get with U.S. Marshals. So that's what we're working on. So, but I wanted you guys to see that as a comparison and see the difference. So.
Okay.
So keep that in your portfolios.
And with me, Josh, he guaranteed me that, he said, I'll have it to you guys way before the 2nd.
Okay. Nope, and that's fine, I just wanted to touch base with you, and like I said, wanted to get this done, because I was waiting for the window thing, but the windows are shot and everything, and obviously roof issues, I mean, so. The other one was just this agreement, but that was reference Scott, you already touched base on that. Next item on there, resignation of Aaron Vogel effective June 10th. That's already completed.
I'll need a motion for that.
So moved.
We got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
A second.
Any more discussion on that? Hear none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Next one, our replacement for the three offices at Chelsea Crossing. Motion to hire her at $15.42. She did do some part-time hours in my office before Tina left, so she was actually on the payroll, but I needed her to try and get some training in with my office before Tina took off. She started Monday, the 17th, so full-time at $15.42. And that is split between the three offices, 20 in my office, 10 hours register of deeds, and 10 hours assessor. And we all did the interviewing. Deb was on one of the interviews by phone conference call, because she couldn't be here. So she was on the phone.
Okay, I'll need a motion for that.
I so moved.
Okay, you got a motion on the floor, I need a second. Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Next one, motion to remove Tina from the Sheriff Trust checking account at Bank West.
I'll need a motion for that. I got a motion on the floor, I need a second. Got a second, any more discussion? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Next one, motion to remove Tina from the Bank West online banking. They asked that those be in two separate motions, so that's why they're separated, those next.
I'll need
bullet
a,
items.
I'll need a motion for that. Okay, I got a motion on the floor, I need a second. Got a second, any more discussion? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Okay, next one, motion to add Chelsea to the Sheriff Trust checking account at Bank West.
Okay, I'll need a motion for that. Okay, I got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
Second.
A second. Any other discussion on that? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
And the last one, motion to add Chelsea Prassic to Bank West online banking at.
Okay, I need a motion for that. Okay, I got a motion on the floor, I need a second. Got a second, any more discussion? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jamie, I put that on there. You wanna, just address it a little bit?
At the last meeting, or the one before, we were discussing County Road 319. And then after the meeting, Commissioner Schilling and I drafted a letter basically spelling out the issues that we had with regard to two of the approaches on that project. We sent the letter off to Clark Engineering, and now we have a letter back from Clark. And then also we have a letter that we received yesterday from Gunderson Palmer. There, I have a copy of it.
Okay.
From Gunderson Palmer, which is the attorney for Sharp Construction, basically stating that they want their money, is kind of where we're at right now. And then Clark sent back their response to letter 2. Do you want to go over that, Scott, or do you want me to do that?
Go ahead.
Basically, there were two approaches, I don't know if you have copies of the letter or not, if you do.
Yeah, they do.
1820 and 1850. The slope on that is basically what is the question here, because what's happening is water is flowing into Selby Oil's warehouse. And in talking with Commissioner Schilling, we kind of believe that's what's causing it, is the slope, and then there's a little lip, if you want to explain that a little bit, how that works, that is kind of holding water back and not letting it flow properly.
Well, on their diagrams where they drew it up, they tipped, I always call it, not the right words, but they tipped concrete up in the back. And it was supposed to be laid more flat. And that's what's holding the water. It's not letting it go. And it's, I'll be honest with you, it's 1850 actually really is two of the same. One that goes to the Selby Motel, you know how that one goes up like that? You know, that one's a problem. This is just my opinion. But anyhow, and to Selby Oil, them are both wrong. But I think you can, the county could live with it. It's really the one, the 1820, that would be to Jerome's oil shed, the one to the west of Selby Oil. There's where the problem is really at. I mean, the other ones aren't good, but the one that goes into Selby Motel, that can be lived with. It'd be nice if the one by Jerome's, the 1850 was tipped down, but the 1820 is the one that's causing a lot of the problems. So what do you guys feel you want to do there? 1820 is the biggest problem. Actually, it's right here. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. 1820 is here's 1850, 1850. That's Southern Motel here. Here's 1820 right here. That's where it comes around. And this is the one that's causing so much of the problem. I think like in the letter, if they would remove it like they said, they'd be, that one ain't real big.
Remove it and not replace it then?
They could tip that one down, but it's not a real big one like the Selby Motel and the other one with drones. I'll show you guys that. See, 1850 is there, and it's here. But 1820 is the one that's causing the drones.
My suggestion would be having cut out 1820 and Jerome side of 1850. Replace them with the south side of 1850.
Did you hear that?
No.
Kevin thought about having them cut out Jerome's side basically on 1850 and 1820. I know it's gonna make water flow a lot better.
And just,
1850, the one by Selby Motel.
and
To me, that-
not replace it.
Yeah, they gotta replace them, tip them back down to where they're supposed to be, or
Oh,
cut them out,
Put them back to the specs that
put
was.
them back to the specs that they're supposed to be. And then if they did your own side of 1820, or 1850 and 1820, we could probably live with the motel side of 1850.
Now, Jamie, I guess I'm gonna ask you, how did you take that last letter you got?
From Gunderson, I took it as is that they're stating that Clark had them make some changes and they were following Clark's instructions, so. They're kind of stating that they didn't do anything wrong, that they followed the engineers. That's kind of how I read it, is,
That's how I read it.
so. And basically, we're sitting on roughly $34,000, which was roughly 10% of the contract in order to make sure that all the contract compliances have been made. And this is basically the last thing. I know like in our letter, we were talking about the elevation of the road itself, but Commissioner Schilling checked that out and it's it's close to
10
being,
inches.
yeah, it's close to being within. So that's really not an issue. The main thing is those two approaches on how do you want to deal with that and who's going to cover the cost for it. And I think what you're asking about is who are we gonna ask to cover the cost for it and who's going to do it. Is that right?
I would say Clark has to cover the cost of it and have Gunderson redo it.
Not
Or,
Gunderson,
not
Sharp.
Gunderson, Sharp.
That's something you need to decide. Because I don't, do you have any idea what it's going to cost? I don't have, I'm not a concrete man to say that this is what it will cost. I don't know if it's a nominal thing or if it's quite a bit of money.
Well, I must say, just by, when I had Phoenix over last year, on the section that they were gonna take out, I don't think would have been close to what, I mean, theirs would have been more, so my guess is, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be around that 20 to 25, probably. 20 for sure, I'm gonna say.
Sharp budget.
Well, unless they, depends on what they're gonna charge themselves, so. That one is long, I mean, that's, hell, that's, it's probably 40 feet long. 30 for sure.
And there's some things, legal issues that we probably shouldn't discuss on the open record with regard to the two, but I kind of need to know how you want to, who you're going to ask for before we discuss some of those legal issues. Because in there, well, I'll just leave it at that. That we should decide who we're going to get, like, kind of like Commissioner Holgard said, we're gonna ask Clark to pay and then Sharp to do and go from that route. And then once that, I probably should talk to at least Commissioner Schilling on some of the stuff in the letters with regard to whether they're going to be agreeable to that or not. And if they're not, then how do we proceed?
Yes.
Can we talk to Clark
Sure.
about this and ask them, okay, are you guys willing to pay for this? Would you be willing to do this? And who would you recommend fixing it?
Sure. That would
That'd be a better route to look at it and see if maybe they would prefer Sharp to come in and just do it.
That would be a good start.
I guess I feel like if we're gonna ask Clark to pay for this and cover the cost, maybe they should have input in on who is going to actually do it.
I think that's a good start, honestly. Start there and then see how this goes with regard to their response.
I mean, if they've got a good relationship with Sharp and they wanna get this corrected, you know, if that was their mess up as far as the deal, maybe we just have them do it and look at it. See if they agree to the cost, if we're willing to just do those two on that one side.
Why don't you and I visit with Mike and then we'll go
Sure.
the next step.
That would be good.
Okay, good. All right, we'll do it that way then.
If you visit with Mike, can you ask him about it? You could too.
Well, I would like to, but I think we really should get this one done. If not, shouldn't we get one done and then we got two? Go ahead, Jimmy.
I think we should talk about your issue in old business and then, like where we're at now, discuss that a little bit, because I don't know if we should wait or not, but.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to old business then. Yes, Kevin?
Okay, I'd like to, if we're gonna get a hold of Mike from Clark, I think, he should be able to work on both of them at the same time. Because, with the, if they're not gonna get to that soon, it'd be nice if they could get to that culvert before they start combine.
Yes, Jim?
I would kind of agree with Commissioner Holgard there, where it's like we should probably get this addressed, because it's my understanding that there's some significant work that needs to be done, is that in order to cure some of the problems, and if we do get a heavy rain, or it's a wet summer and then a wet fall, we might do more damage than, is that kind of what your concern is that?
Well, not only that, but if it's gonna be scheduled for late August, September, start getting into combining,
You're gonna have to make alternate routes,
yeah,
so
there's a lot of people that use that road for trucking.
I would say we should probably address that with Clark Engineering also then, because they were the engineer for that project, right? And so maybe we can do that at the same time, but I think we should probably address that and see where they're at. So like you said, we don't run into further costs to the problem,
We're
or
holding off paying them for now anyway, so they should be notified why we're holding payments.
I think we should probably discuss both of those with them, and then come back, if it's all right with you, Commissioner Schilling, come back, schedule an executive session to discuss both legal issues. Probably two, since they're two different issues, on how we want to proceed with both of those situations. And I think we should speed up the one, because you're right. If we get a really bad rain, or if it's going to interfere with harvest, yeah, that is a pretty important road. And then we have to make sure that the alternate roads that are being used and going to have more truck traffic are not going to have problems due to the excess traffic on there, so. And that's kind of a concern too, isn't it, that you have, what are we gonna do with the alternates, and do we have to beef them up before we turn them into an alternate?
Then we'll just visit with him about both of them. Yes.
On that bill, part of it was flood repairs. That's out there. So did you want that part of it paid, or are we not gonna pay that either?
Those are all, the bridges are all done out here, if that's what it was for.
Part of it is for that.
What about the culverts?
That's a different project. That's not on that bill.
Should be part of the flood repair, shouldn't it?
No, the flood repair project is what out by Pinwood was called. That's a totally different project than the culvert out at Sitka.
No, but there's other culverts that were supposed to be replaced too on that flood out of Pinwood, wasn't there?
I thought that was all completed.
2 bridges are done.
I know
Signed
the
off.
bridges are done, but wasn't there other culverts?
No, that was
Just
just
for
two
the two
bridges.
bridges.
That's what that portion, the flood repair portion is.
I guess we paid that part of it,
You know, one part of the bill was, looks like $256.83 was for the Walworth County 2018 flood repair, construction, staking and administration, site visit, final pay application, closeout docs. That must be for all that bridge stuff. This one here, the other part was for the Sitka Road precast.
And that one there definitely should be held.
Right. So can we go back and change our motion? Correct that billing?
I would just make a motion to pay whatever portion of the bill that you choose to pay, because right now it's
Withholding both.
correct. So I would come back and make a motion to authorize the auditor to pay whatever portion or whichever bill you want to have the auditor pay.
Okay, we'll do that after. Is there any other old business? Mary and I will talk to Clark about both of them too.
but we have a motion over on this.
Older than
No.
I'm just gonna finish the old business. If nobody else has anything else to talk about, old business. I said. Yes.
Where are we at on the accounts receivable for the landfill?
I have the April stuff all done and May will be finished today.
It just bothers me that we are the banking facility for several of them
Well, the one that we have most problems with, I cut them off every month if they don't provide 20,000, and they've been averaging around 10 to 13,000 a month is their cost, so they're getting caught up, just it's taking some time. But I'll get you an updated amount by the end of today.
So what are they, 60,000 or? You-
It's probably a little more than that, still, at this point.
I just have a hard time for us being the banking institute for them. As long as they don't have to pay us, what's the hurry? We don't charge interest. I know Ryan was really opposed to charging interest to them.
Saying we can.
Well, let me get the May stuff completed today. I'll get you guys the amounts. We can talk about it at the next meeting. Since I've been out there, I've gotten 60,000 from them. Cause I don't let them dump if they don't bring a check at the end of the month.
Anything else?
You're just worried about the one company.
Mainly the one company that is so far behind. It just,
It's actually got cut down at least in half from what it used to be.
yeah, I just wonder if we ought to make them, I don't know how to make them get caught up. They've never been caught up since I've been on this board. I don't know how, they were gaining and all of a sudden when we got the report, we were way behind again.
You could gain every month, don't you?
Now we are, because like I said, I don't allow them to dump if they don't bring a check with them. So they are gaining like 8,000 on average a month off of what they have built up. But like I said, I can get you guys a new total by the end of the day.
Anything else?
I guess not.
Gotta take a motion on that to pay to Clark.
I'll make a motion that we pay the 2018 flood damage or flood repair portion of the bill, which is $256.83.
We got a motion on the floor, I need a second. A second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
So Becky, I didn't initial that. Did you get them both together? What do you want to do with that?
Initial it, we'll remove the one.
New business.
Hearing none, I move for adjournment.
Okay, got a motion on the floor, I need a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.